When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis and Jared Dubois. We're live. I don't think anybody's watching us or listening to us.
I just did finger guns. Who am I?
Maybe you're me. I like to do finger guns
You're
on a
a finger
Zoom
gun
call.
guy?
On a Zoom call. Only on a Zoom call. I'm never a finger gun in person guy. Ironic finger guns. You can do ironic finger guns, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to be like,
I let it.
hey. Isn't that the Jared Leto move? That's the meme where he's like, hey.
I don't know, but you know what my personal pet peeve, my personal celebrity pet peeve is? For
What's that?
all the celebrities out there that do double prayer hands. Like when coming onto a talk show, they're about to take their seat at the couch to say thank you to the audience or whatever. Like double prayer hands.
You're not a fan of double prayer hands? Like,
No.
like
well, you know me. I'm not a fan of praying
Well, first of all,
in general.
did you say double prayer hands?
Well, it's just
as if you could
get the two hands together. I don't know.
You can't do a single prayer hand, my man.
Sure you can.
That's more like a Mr. Miyagi situation. Like I feel like that's more like
I don't know, double prayer.
what the
hands,
Karate
but-
Kid learned. Prayer hands. It's an emoji. It's a thank you. It's thanking people. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for letting me come on. Thank you.
I apologize. I'm trying to do double duty since Nikki Soup and Salad isn't here yet. I'm having to post our own stuff to Twitter right now.
Yeah, we're going to do that and hopefully get some more people in here. Connor is saying single prayer hand needs to be Jared's new thing. You're just going to be a single prayer hand guy.
It's a very you said Jared Leto because he seems just douchey enough as a celebrity to do it all the time.
Is that
Like,
who I'm
I
thinking
can
of?
see-
Not Jared Leto. I'm not thinking of Jared Leto. I'm thinking of the guy was in the movie about the the tabloid photographer. Do you remember that movie? This is an actor who's all over the place whose name is
Still
escaping
Seymour
me.
Hoffman, that guy?
No. I don't know. It'll come to me. Somebody's going to tell me, Jason, you're an idiot. Here's the person you're thinking of. It's okay. Nightcrawler, was that the name of that movie?
I never saw it, so I don't know.
You never saw that movie? You're not Nikki Soup
I
and
don't watch
Sausage?
dramas that often, dude. Like
Nikki
I'm not
Soup and
gonna
Sausage
smile.
is not here.
The Sausage King of
Definitely
Chicago.
wouldn't know what it is, dude.
No, he wouldn't know what it is. I'm just pointing out he's not here. Hence the fact we didn't get the tweets out. We didn't get the show up and running until last minute. Jared was dealing with family stuff, which is perfectly understandable. We're here to talk about U.S. Soccer finally hiring a sporting director. Now, he won't start until August 2nd, Jared.
Joe Cocker.
You said it when we got on Jake Gyllenhaal. See, Connor's got me. Jake Gyllenhaal's my guy. This is who I'm talking about for whatever reason. I don't know why I couldn't
He seems
remember.
like a double prayer hands guy. It's the same person that would have like Kabbalah like beads on their wrist or something like that. Like, those two things go together.
Maybe Kabbalah beads. I can't
I think
remember last time
Jonah
I saw
Hill
that.
probably does double prayer hands. See, like,
Oh, 100% Jonah Hill does some double prayer hands.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so let's talk about celebrities who do that, but let's also talk about whether or not Matt, you're confusing me. Crocker. It's not Cocker, it's Crocker. It's like Betty Crocker. Matt Crocker, hired to be the U.S. Soccer's sporting
Joe Cocker.
director.
Got it. This is going to be
Starting-
my Stanley Tucci. I'm never going to remember his real name. I'm going to start calling
If you're going
him
to do
that,
it,
probably.
you have to say Life is a Highway every time. You have to sing a little bit of Life is a Highway every time you say Joe Cocker, right? Isn't that Joe Cocker? Is that who
He does give value a little help from my friends, doesn't he? I don't know.
No, you're right. I got this. I got this wrong. Jake Gyllenhaal, Jared Leto, Joe Cocker.
You're all
and
over the
whoever
place
else
with your
I'm
pop
thinking
culture
about.
today, dude.
I'm scrambled.
But you had the
chance.
chance to interview Joe Cocker live on Sirius XM, WNBC.
I talked to Matt Crocker, who deserves our respect. He's got a Jared. In terms of resumes, I mean, we were talking about some guys who have some good MLS resumes. We were talking about some guys who know U.S. soccer, have been part of U.S. soccer, but maybe don't have the experience. This guy checks a lot of boxes, I think, as a national team fan, as a U.S. soccer fan. So he's obviously going to be in charge of more than just the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
I am excited by this. I see all of those boxes getting checked. Are you not on board with this?
Yeah, no, it's a really, really fascinating hire because for U.S. Soccer or what's the name of the company, the Sportsology or something?
Why do I think that Joe Cocker and Tom Cochran are the same person? They're not. Joe Cocker's much more accomplished than Tom Cochran. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but so it was a Sportsology. Is that who was the company that
they were involved in? Yes, yeah, and he did talk specifically about Sportsology reaching out to him.
Yeah, so that's interesting that it was proactive from their point of view. What's interesting is that U.S. Soccer and Sportsology have actually put their money where their mouth is. What fans have asked for a long time is to do away with the old boys club. Not to say that he's not old and he's not a boy and he's from the old football country of England, but he didn't come up through the U.S. soccer system. It's not like he was just the guy in the room that they could point to and say, let's give this guy a shot. He doesn't have any hard ties with any U.S. soccer folks. We could talk about Jesse Marsh in a second.
So hold on. You're suggesting that Danielle Reyna does not have his phone number. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying there's a good chance she does not. Now, I think she'll want to speak to the manager. I think she'll want to speak to the manager and find out.
Do you think that she's like secretly texting people, can you get me Matt Cocker's phone number? I mean, she probably wants to fire off some text messages.
She's finding something already. There's definitely something out there. But listen, he ticks a lot of boxes. Like I said, he's not inside the U.S. soccer system. What's interesting about him in Southampton is that not just with Southampton, but with the English FA as well, he has a very tenured youth record, bringing up young players, academies. It's a very enticing hire from that point of view. The
Southampton thing, okay, we can parse the Southampton experience. Obviously, that's a club that's probably going down from the Premier League this year.
They've sold good players over the years. They've developed a ton of good players.
But here's the thing. Matt Crocker was not, damn it. You killed me, man.
Joe Cocker?
Matt Crocker was not necessarily involved in a lot of those developmental things. He wasn't there yet. But what he was doing was helping England figure out their shit. Like, he was helping them sort out their stuff. In fact, it's called the England DNA, and it's a whole thing that he worked on with Gareth Southgate, with some of the other people involved at St. James's.
So
there
can we thank
in England.
him for making Yunus Musa for us?
He wasn't, maybe, but certainly, the Phil Fodens of the world, the Jack Grealishes of the world, the Bukayo Sakas of the world, they came out while he was there, right? They were bubbling in the England system, and he said, you know what? In fact, I had a Southampton writer from The Athletic, whose name I can't remember, on WNBC. I don't know why I call it that. That's Nick's thing. That's not even my thing. WNBC. He's the one that put it on there.
That's what this show calls it, just so you know. Not just that's what this show calls it.
I had a guy from Southampton, a guy who writes on Southampton for The Athletic, on my radio show, which, Jared, I keep telling you exists. I don't know why you seem unclear on the
obviously,
concept.
SiriusXM, if you can get Joe Cocker on, I'm surprised he was on the SiriusXM channel. You think it'd be on
Joe Cocker probably has his own
Classic
channel.
Rewind or Vintage Classics.
For sure, Joe Cocker has his own channel. Matt Crocker was at Southampton. This Athletic writer talked about the way in which he helped England get away from big, physical, and fast being the first things they looked at. Right now, obviously, look, it's a different level of commitment to that than what the United States has been dealing with for the last 40 years, because obviously England's much more sort of naturally technically proficient because of the amount of soccer kids play and how important it is to the culture. But I think that was interesting. He was saying, like, would a Phil Foden have come up through the England system if not for a guy like Matt Crocker? I don't know. And so if you can care about those kind of things, you look at that piece of his resume and you go, hey, do that for us. Help us figure that shit out too.
Yeah, and not just that. Obviously, he has like premiership experience as an executive. He ticks a lot of the boxes. What interesting. I didn't get to see the interview. Hear the interview that you did with him, and I'm wondering if you can help me understand what you got from this, because I have something I was kind of wondering. In that, is it which leads the horse, like the cart or the horse, like which leads the horse? Let me tell you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Does he want a coach to come to him with a vision, and then he looks to see if that vision kind of matches up with what he wants, or does he have a vision and he's looking for a coach to execute it?
So the sense I get, and he has been very careful from the moment that they announced him on Tuesday. He has been very careful to say it would be ridiculous for me on day one to say anything about that specifics on my show, because Matt Crocker, Joe Cocker, whatever, was on my radio show, which again, Jared, keep telling you about. He said the same thing. He said, on day 2, I can't speak to those things directly. What I think is interesting, and look, maybe you're upset about that, maybe you're annoyed by that. I do think it's kind of understandable,
It's really realistic.
especially considering like you don't know what the landscape of available coaches looks like. Like generally, you don't even know, and I don't know if they're going to wait till the end of the European season to make to get the marketplace a little fuller than it is now. I don't know, but what he said is he doesn't want to just go out and hire a tactical genius. First of all, you're probably not getting a tactical genius in the international level anyway. We said we don't want to just go out and hire a tactical genius. We want to hire somebody who certainly understands the tactics and can put the best team on the field and training and all those things. But we want somebody who understands all the other work that goes into the U.S. men's national team program, the behind-the-scenes stuff. Obviously, we know what the phone calls and the text messages just to keep relationships going, dual nationals, going through tape, going through film, watching the player pool as it kind of morphs and changes based on club form. Like he
That's
was
just
very
the job,
specific.
though. I don't know. Is there people out there that don't do those
Well, no,
things?
but he was saying that there's a particular kind of coach who's made to do those things or is adaptable to
Someone that
those
gets their
things
hands dirty.
because the club game is so different and because you are constantly in it with a club team that you're not in it.
Yeah, you
It's
don't
the
have time
downtime.
in the 7 days between 2 fixtures or sometimes 3 days between 2 fixtures. You delegate a lot of the work that has to happen, a lot of the dirty work that has to happen. You have to rely on assistant coaches and stuff like that. And not to say you don't have those resources at the international level, but you also have the time. You have the time to go and do your own work, to get your hands dirty, to look at there and get mired in all the aspects of what's going on with the team.
Your playing roster changes a little bit from window to window, but it doesn't change the way an international roster will change. I mean, you'll have a core group of guys, but what about injuries? What about I've got to go look at a guy who's playing in the second division in Belgium because maybe he's making a move next year. Like these things, obviously there's dual nationals who haven't committed yet. How much time, how many resources do you provide or do you spend kind of going out and either
Did you
chasing
guys
those players, watching those players?
Did you guys talk about the infrastructure of executives and if there needs to be a level between him and the coach?
We did
Like
not get
Brian
into that,
McBride?
and I'll tell you why. He wasn't going to answer the question. All right, and I was talking about this with my producers. If we want to go inside radio here for a second, there are certainly questions that are sort of obvious. Are you going to hire a general manager? What kind of coach is the perfect coach for your system? All those you can ask those questions. You're not going to get an answer. I'm
It's
not
like when
going
you
to
go
get
to
him.
you go to a police press conference after there's been a murder. Like, what do you know? We're not going to comment on an ongoing investigation.
Whoa!
But every
Whoa.
reporter's going to ask the question.
Whoa!
What?
Murder, Jared? Murder? You're a true crime guy, aren't you?
Oh, I'm so
Chronic
true crime guy.
I just was reading today. I guess there's 2 different TV versions of this story. I think the recent, most recent one has Elizabeth Montgomery, something like that, actress who I'm very kind of vaguely familiar with.
Oh, I
There's
know
a
who
new,
that is.
yeah. It's about this this housewife in Texas who axe murdered the
Nice.
wife of the guy she was cheating with, the guy she was having an affair with.
Dude, not enough people kill
Incredible.
people with like medieval weapons anymore.
I mean, I don't need to think about it though. Like half your face is missing. That's brutal, dude. Come on, we don't need that.
more people need to like die by mace, and I don't know time about the spray.
By the way,
an
let's put
actual
a special circle around U.S. men's national team drama. Connor is saying murder is about all that was missing from the latest U.S. men's national team drama. Now, here's the
We're
thing.
assuming it didn't happen.
He might be talking about the Reynas and the whole thing in the World Cup, and I don't know that we're over it, but we don't talk about it as much. We'll make jokes about
Has
Danielle
anyone
Reyna
seen
getting Matt
Greg
Crocker's
Berhalter
number.
lately?
But we need to talk about what Weston McKennie went through in the last week. What happened with Weston McKennie? We kind of need to touch on that.
You want to hit that now?
I mean, I want to talk more about Matt Crocker. I want to get what people think. Okay. Again, part of this is that we on this program, and I think it's probably about 60-40, because we've always been a U.S. men's national team show. First and foremost, we don't make apologies about that, but we obviously care about the U.S. women too and want them to stay on top of the mountain, right? We don't want anybody coming and knocking them off. And so this sporting director, is going to have a role in that too. But those are just 2 teams that he's got his influence over,
Let
right?
me ask you a question. Do you think, given that he was at Southampton at the time, Jesse Marsh just didn't show up for the car ride to the stadium to sign the paperwork, from what we understand, do you think the fact that there is a relationship there, does that help, or the way that went down hurt Jesse Marsh's chance? Because obviously he was a fan enough that they were about to put pen to paper.
Okay, so a couple things here. Sean says he tried to hire Marsh at Southampton. Bank on it. I think he's saying bank on Marsh getting the job. And then Selma is saying tried to hire Marsh, but pool of available managers was small, which is, I think, a good point about that place in the Premier League season.
Pool of available cars was obviously small. He couldn't find a ride.
No, there was a ride. It was there. The Uber was idling.
It was
he
like
just
a
didn't
van,
show up.
wasn't it? Did he have an
Do you think
entourage?
Jesse Marsh lost like a full star on his passenger rating on his Uber account based on not showing up for
Sounds
that
like
car?
He did it twice, too.
I mean, maybe he wasn't paying for it. Maybe it wasn't his Uber account. Maybe Southampton took the damage on that.
What do you make of it, though?
So I think that from what I can tell, Matt Crocker is a pragmatist, right? He is a guy who's going to change his approach based on the current situation. Now, that kind of gives him cover for messing some stuff up and, that was just how I was. But I think he's I think he's a very grounded guy. I think I'm impressed by the way he talks because it doesn't sound like there's a lot of bullshit involved. I think that he was to Selma's point, after Jesse Marsh because Jesse Marsh was A, available, and 2, just like his arrival at Leeds, was following somebody who had a similar philosophy on how to play. Okay. And so Southampton was set up under Hasenhüttl to do a lot of the same things Jesse Marsh likes to do as a coach, or he was comfortable running his team to do, which we saw at Leeds. It obviously didn't work at Leeds, but he was following Bielsa, whose approach is somewhat similar, high-pressing style of play. I don't think Matt Crocker is bringing a high-pressing style of play to the U.S. men's national team program necessarily. Now, I don't know that means Jesse Marsh is not a candidate. I think he probably will be a candidate. I think he'll probably be in the mix. But don't expect Matt Crocker to run off and give the job to Jesse Marsh simply because he talked to him at Southampton.
He said the verb aggressive multiple times in his press conference recently about aggressive style of play. That could mean a high press. It could just mean more activity in the midfield. I don't know.
He also talked in his press conference about moments in the international game in particular. And I think this is the shift from club to international soccer. He talked about wanting to have players who could understand the moment. So maybe the moment is to press. And certainly coaches dictate when pressing things happen. There are triggers and stuff. But he was talking about, okay, when do you go? When do you stop? When do you pause? When do you take the sting? His words, take the sting out of the game, right? He wants intelligent players who can do things in an international soccer match that aren't based on we drilled it, right? Because you can't. You're playing... You're getting together once every month or every 2 months, and you're playing in a tournament. You can't drill, and try to follow through on that plan. And this is where I think Berhalter screwed up, because Berhalter had good ideas, generally speaking, and I think he helped those guys mature to a certain point. But clearly there was drill, and it got stale, it got bogged down, and when that didn't work, they didn't have a plan B.
Yeah.
And I think what Matt Crocker is talking about is we want plan A and plan B. Actually, we don't even want to call them plan A and plan B. We want multiple plans that can be enacted at any given moment because we trust our players to do it. Now, it's a big ask, right? But think about the way France won a World Cup, right? And think about the way Argentina won a World Cup. Do you think of Argentina as a pattern play team? Do you think of France as a pattern play team? Or we press this way and we don't press this way, we trigger this way? No, and they may have tactics. I mean, they may have individual things they are doing within the game.
Was able to adapt so well, missing so many components.
They had players who could stop and maintain possession in order to slow down the game and regain control of it. They had guys who could go. Like you get the ball into space, and Kylian Mbappe and those guys are Antoine Griezmann. They're going to kill you, right? Yeah. And I think the idea, again, it's a big ask for this group of players, but I think the idea is to try to evolve to that place, not with like, oh, we're a high-pressing team who likes to sit in a mid-block in a 4-3-3. I don't think any of that's going to come out of Matt Crocker's mouth.
I didn't hear him use in his press conference? Verticality.
He did not say verticality.
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
No.
At no point. But I'm interested to see what it means for the team. I think there's going to be a clear... I think with this hire, it reflects that there's going to be a clear moment in U.S. soccer. There's going to be a BC and AD, and we just passed that point. Before Claudio, after Danielle. And it was right a few months ago.
Oh, man.
And that we're never going to look back at the U.S. soccer system the same.
No, I thought you were going to say before Crocker, after something.
I think you have 1994 as a watershed point in U.S. soccer, and I think we're reaching the next generation of that. You maybe you'll say 2002 or something like that,
Right.
but that was a continuation of what started in 94.
And I think it's kind of
is the start of a new legacy of where U.S. soccer wants to go.
Another word he used quite a bit, legacy. Talked about legacy a lot. And, it's kind of a nebulous term. What does it even mean? What are you doing? What does that matter? I mean, obviously he knows winning will beget a legacy. He knows the way you play will beget a legacy. He's certainly aware of all of those things. That idea that we're at a watershed is interesting to me because I think a lot of people, and maybe it depends on how old you are and what you remember, right? Because if you remember 94 and you remember 98 and you remember 02, you have a different appreciation for this than maybe if this is your second or third World Cup that you've been paying attention to. The U.S. men's national team evolution is never going to be straight up. It's never going to be linear, right? It's going to stay. Yeah. Obviously, we missed 2018, right? We had a gap in our generation. I think people thought 2022 was supposed to be that new era, right? That's going to be the moment. Except those guys were incredibly young. It was an odd World Cup to begin with. You had a first-time head coach. Whatever you want to make of his hiring, and you could talk about the reasons it happened and why it happened, et cetera, he was still a first-time head coach. I mean, the practical problem was that you were dealing with a bunch of guys going through it together for the first time. I want somebody with a little bit more international experience. Obviously, that's not Jesse Marsch. I'm curious about that part, too.
Yeah, 1994, that moment, that moment of that watershed moment, 94 of starting MLS, setting up Project 2010, but it didn't end at 2010 because then you had the atrophy of having that fixed goal of 2010 being such a big deal. The U.S. soccer suffered for 4 to 6 years after that because we reached a point where we had a blind spot after 2010 in terms of development. It just wasn't there. And I don't know if it was a focus issue or whatever. I think 2023 right now is the first time we're truly recovering from that portion. And we weren't even
really. The thing about that, though, and look, I know people, a lot of people like to make fun of Project 2010 and all that. We were a country with a not even quarter-baked development system.
Yeah.
Right. We started Bradenton because there was no other
Jason,
place.
If our best athletes just played soccer, we'd be fine and win it every year.
I really regret the fact that LeBron James decided to be a basketball player. Jared, he could be so much bigger if he was a soccer player instead of a basketball player. I mean, what is this guy doing out there? What
position would he play, Jason?
Oh, my God. He would be a monster D-mid. He would destroy people. Just a road grader out there. Could you imagine? Okay,
Not
anyway.
a single head ball won.
The thing about Project 2010, the thing about Bradenton, it was like we got good results out of that because we were trying for the first time, right? There was actual attempt. Now, you could talk about the residency camp ahead of 94. You could talk about the college guys in 90. That was like dipping our toes in the water. Bradenton, we were trying something. But the reason that Bradenton had to exist, because we didn't have club teams who were doing any work whatsoever. And there's not a major soccer playing nation on the planet that doesn't have
when you throw money
a
at
lot
something,
of
you're
clubs.
going to get instant limited results. You're going to get instant because all of a sudden you paid attention. But you can't necessarily get the top end results without pedigree and legacy and the things that we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think, look, again, I'm encouraged by this. I don't like the timeline. I'm still pissed off about the timeline. Not that, I guess,
but
getting to April.
U.S. soccer nailed this one for what it looks like.
Yes.
And what we thought was potentially available, because we were talking about Uguchi Onyewu at one point. Not to say that he'd be bad, but that would have been a highly risky move.
It would have been jumping into the deep end for Gooch.
And even when we talk about Peter Vermees and we talk about Ernst Tanner, even if we talk about Garth Lagerwey, we potentially have a better candidate than all three of those guys we were just talking about.
Club guy, only club guy, right? Yeah. And again, not that Matt Crocker was running the England program, but he was doing enough with England to think that he can level up to this and do a decent job. And again, I will remind everybody that his job is not to make the U.S. men's national team the best it can possibly be in 2026 and only that. His job is to make sure the U.S. women stay on top. It's to get the U.S. men to a higher level. It's to make the youth teams better. It's to coach to get coaches better educated. It's to reach out to the grassroots. It's all those things. And in fact, to that point, I'll put another sort of gold star next to this moment. in the press conference, Mike Woitala of Soccer America asked him about the Latino soccer community in this country. And afterwards, I saw some analysis of his response that was kind of like, oh, he didn't seem prepared for it. It didn't seem as though U.S. Soccer kind of got him ready for this. And that's an indictment of U.S. Soccer. And maybe that's true.
It's a lot to prepare for.
I asked him the question again on my show. And to his credit, he said, I have a lot to learn. Right? Maybe I'm still working on some of this stuff. I'm certainly aware of the Latino soccer community, and I need to figure out how to reach out to that. Now, you can't hire somebody who's going to be perfect for every different constituency in American soccer because we got like 50 billion of them, Jared. So there is that there's kind of that issue.
It's a big one, dude.
Very complex environment. No, and that's the thing. Like, you need to focus on that community for sure. And by the way, it's not a monolith. The Latino soccer community is not a monolith by itself. It's not like it's everybody in the Latino soccer community thinks the same way or acts the same way or does the same thing. So,
because a lot of people in America, when they think Latino, they think Mexican. It's not that.
In your part of the world, they do. In your part of the world, they do.
Sure.
In my part of the world, they don't think Mexican at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, even here, like, it's Guatemala, it's El Salvador, it's Puerto Rico for you, which is
Puerto Ricans don't play soccer. Don't worry about them.
But
there's like five guys in Puerto Rico kicking the ball around.
It's such a big complex narrative to get your head around, and I don't blame him necessarily for having a ready answer for that. I don't think that it's something that, and also if he had a boilerplate answer, I think that would have felt worse. I'd rather have a guy say, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm going to find out for you.
Okay,
and come back and actually follow up.
We are going to move on from Matt Crocker, and we're going to see what happens over the next couple of months, because, again, he's going to be splitting duties with Southampton and U.S. Soccer in the search for a head coach and helping the U.S. women get ready for the World Cup, I guess, until August 2nd. But to this point, pay to play would have him perplexed. No. In fact, I can say equivocally, no. He understands it. First of all, he coached here. Now, it's a long time ago, and he didn't spend a long time in the States, but he did come over and coach in the States. He's aware of the complexities of pay-to-play. And he said, look, that's an entrenched ecosystem. You don't just pull the plug on it. And he can't do that anyway. It's not within his power. He's going to have to figure out how to work within that to make better soccer players and to identify the right ones. And that's why we point out the Latino soccer community, because I think there's this overriding sense that if you're not privileged or you don't have the money, you don't play in the high-level clubs, you don't get spotted. If you don't get spotted, you don't play for U.S. youth national teams.
In the immediate terms, it's how do you work with what's already here? That's the first thing. How do you work with and maximize the infrastructure that's already here? And then over the long term, over small bits of movements, you try to move to something that's more sustainable and makes more sense. But don't expect anything to change right away. It's like you say, if Don Garber retired tomorrow and we hired, I don't know, even Gadzis or like whoever, someone like from Europe, if we
Ivan
brought them
Gazidis?
over, Ivan Gazidis, wow, I said the other way around, like Ivan Galarcep. If you brought over someone that's a European executive, they're not going to institute pro rel tomorrow,
right?
Despite being completely like mystified by why it doesn't exist, thinking it's a stupid choice, whatever. It wouldn't happen overnight, and it probably would never happen when it comes to that. But there's just certain things that you need to understand that there's what could be done and what things that are just more likely to be done. And it's just more likely to find a way to go with the tide on this. So with that kind of done, and again, Matt Crocker is kind of in stasis until we get to the summer and beyond. Let's talk about Weston McKennie just a little bit and what happened with him this past week. Now, look, it's a tough situation at Leeds, right? Leeds is in trouble. Leeds is struggling. Nobody is going to get accolades for Leeds United, particularly not Patrick Dan Bamford. Good God, man. Put the ball in the back of the net, please. And maybe if Patrick Bamford had put the ball in the net against Leicester, it would be an easier week. Offside by the way, but we're not talking about that.
All right. Well, maybe it would have been easier for Weston McKennie if he scored or if he was. I don't know. So Weston McKennie had himself a pretty good game against Leicester.
Sure.
Do we all agree on that? Okay.
Yeah, worked his ass off.
He's been hit and miss. Okay, he has. I think he does have a rep of a guy who doesn't always put forth the best effort. That's even true for the U.S. men's national team, right? He is not of a slim body type. I actually feel kind of, I can relate to Weston McKennie a little bit.
I think this was a choice by him, though. I think that going to the Premiership and stuff like that, wanted to make a move. We've been talking about Tottenham for a year now. I think he made the choice at some point to make sure that he had a more enhanced frame a bit.
Okay.
I think there's a bit of a choice there.
Well,
I don't think he's a doughboy for some-
there were suggestions that Juve wasn't happy with him fitness wise, and that he was carrying too much weight there. We've obviously known that he talks about putting ranch on his pizza. He's kind of acknowledged that he has a soft spot for food he's not supposed to eat.
Jason,
I think these are things that do dog him a little bit. It doesn't mean he can't be a good player on certain days, but I think they dog him a little bit. Now, this is not necessarily the focus. The focus is the fact that his boy, Diego 29 Mendoza, has been talking shit on Leeds players, has been out there in chat spaces and Twitter spaces and all kinds of things.
Do other countries have these family members and friends out there
I don't know,
getting
man.
up into social media,
I don't know.
comment sections of places?
I don't know.
Why do
This
our
guy-
people do this?
This guy cracks me up because he got himself a little celebrity. Jared, the U.S. men's national team Twitterverse loved this guy because he was telling tales out of school. He was telling them things they weren't supposed to know. Not just USMNT Anon, but just in general, I think U.S. men's national team fans. And he was saying things people wanted to hear on some level. He was reinforcing some narratives that run through the U.S. men's national team fan base about that last era and about that GGG guy. I think that was part of it. I just think it's hilarious. Whatever you make of what he was saying, and it obviously got Weston in some trouble.
Can you think of any friend that you'd be okay with coming in and talking about you at work?
No, no, and especially saying shit about my coworkers. No, and I know it's
What the
different. That's a
hell?
public-facing job, and Weston McKennie plays a game we're all watching, or does a job we're all watching. But I just think that's hilarious. And you're clout chasing based on the fact that you know somebody. Being in an entourage, Jared, that is a tried and true. That is one of the oldest professions in the world, right next to prostitution. Prostitution, being in some famous dude's entourage, right? There's a whole show about it.
So
we know
Connor's
LeBron.
asking, wait, what did he say? And there's just a lot of stuff. It was a normal chat room, kind of on the internet stuff where it's all the reasons why Weston McKennie's not successful and why it's not his fault.
Well, some of it was somebody said something about Weston's effort level, and apparently 29, God, it's so funny to call the dude 29, said something like, "Oh, effort's not really his style," which definitely is shade on his own guy, right? Yeah. In there. He also took shots at Mark Rocca. He just said not even really the most harmful stuff, just dumb stuff. Just stupid stuff that doesn't really it's the kind of thing that's not really over the top, but it's just kind of cheap enough to piss people off.
It's normal enough for Twitter comment sections, but most people in the Twitter comment sections aren't.
They don't know.
Lined up with the player
or
in real life.
They're not claiming
representing them in a way.
Claiming friendship, right?
Yeah.
They're not claiming I know this guy. Here's why I'm telling you these things, and that's what I mean by getting some celebrity.
Yeah, Weston McKinney's dad's been out there doing this before,
Dads are notorious for this, but dads don't do Twitter spaces. Dads don't expand. They might
don't know what
fire
those
off a
are.
bad tweet. I know that's true, but they might fire off a bad tweet, but that's about where it ends. Now, okay, unless you're Arena, and then it goes farther. But for the most part, dads and parents, and I've gotten some very funny tweets in the past from the dad of a 18, 17-year-old player in a reserve side who's constantly telling me I should be talking about his kid. And they never say my kid or my son. They always say, you need to look at Joe Thomas from Red Bull 2, who just scored an incredible goal on the weekend. And then I see the username is like Tom Thomas. And, okay, I get it. I get what's happening
Coincidence.
Here now. Just plain coincidence. Weston went on his Instagram, and he didn't fire his friend. He basically said, unless it comes from me, don't listen to it. But it's just I don't understand the mentality. I guess that's what it is.
It's gotta suck to get kicked off the entourage teat.
I know. Well, maybe, but that's the thing. I don't know that he did. I kind of feel like Weston.
My man was getting the free Nikes.
I kind of feel like
Weston
Weston has kind of signed off on this as a troll. I think Weston's of that personality. He's kind of yeah, whatever, go mix it up. I don't care. I know if Mark Rocca walks up to him in the locker room at Leeds at Ellen Road and says, WTF, bro? What's that? How does Mark Rocca sound? Do you know how Mark Rocca sounds?
What
WTF,
I don't even know what
bro?
nationality is he? Spanish?
What's bro? What's up, bro? What's up, bro? What's up with your 29?
What is Mark Rocca?
Is he German? Is Mark Rocca German? Didn't he come from Germany? Somebody tell me where Mark Rocca is from. Because his name is Mark Rocca?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mark Rocca is Spanish. You're right. I don't know why I said he was German. You got it. Yeah, he's from Villafranca, Spain. So he would be like, "What's this all about?" That's terrible.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
I mean, Spanish has a lisp in it, Jared.
Yeah, I know.
If you would know this, if it were more worldly. Barcelona, Zaragoza. Exactly.
Okay, I just think if you're anyone out there in the U.S. men's national team pool these days, you need to understand that just keep a handle on your people. Keep a handle on your people. Like, don't let maybe talk to your group, your inner group, and be like, hey, I appreciate your love. I know it exists. I don't need you out there to defend me.
Right. But that's the other part about this. So this is what I was saying. Like, first of all, chasing clout based on the fact you know somebody is such a wild move. I guess it's just being internet famous is such a draw in 2023. Maybe that's the mentality. This is not the first time that he has done something like this, like kind of been out there sharing things that are maybe a little bit more behind the scenes, claiming he's got inside knowledge because Weston told him some stuff. This is not new. Right, this isn't the first time. So why did
enough clout?
Why did Weston not shut him down the first time, or the second time, or the fifth time? Like, why was he?
It was helping him. Like, he was out there talking about his transfer rumors, drumming up the attention, getting people all excited about his moves and what was going on. Like, it didn't hurt. This time it hurt. So I would hope that he's clocking him and checking him and be like, hey, I can't have you doing this anymore.
I just wonder. I just don't want this stuff. I don't want this to be stuff that follows Weston around, right? Yeah. I mean, in terms of his career prospects, like I think obviously things got sideways at Juventus. Some of that wasn't his fault. I don't know, if there was bad feelings there. Again, I mentioned the fact that he was
Weston
kind of dogged for his
thing
fitness.
Already, though, like. He had to be sent home from the national team camp. There's issues of unprofessionalism already that are out there both at club and country. You don't need one more distraction. You don't need anything else fanning the flames of this. Let your effort on the field speak for you. And to his credit, that's what he did this weekend. He went out there. He put a hard-ass shift out there. He worked his butt off, and they got a result, not necessarily the one they wanted, but they got a result. And I think it was clear to see that he was trying. Let that do the work for you. You don't need all this other stuff.
Yeah. So we were getting ready for this show. Obviously, Matt Crocker, Joe Cocker, was going to be a major part of the story. There was just a little bit of talk about the player pool, Jared, because I think some people were talking about potential moves last week on last week's show. Oh, and we should have done this business at the front of the program, but we forgot again. Make sure you support us at patreon.com/thebestsoccershow now that we're back to being independent. We do have control of our podcast feed, Jared.
Yeah,
we
you're
wrestled
probably
control.
To this right now. You're probably listening to this right now. We still feel that the YouTube is the best version of the show. But
of course,
if you can't do that and you're just in the car and you want to get on your podcatcher, wherever it is, you are now 100% connected to us again.
You know
Welcome
why
back.
YouTube is the best version of this program? I mean, not just because you can see our beautiful faces, but because we can bring
the Sausage King of Chicago.
The Sausage King of Chicago, Nicky Soup and Sausage, in his tiny little box. Still love his tiny little box.
Is that a Purdue jacket? What is that?
No, it's Perrysburg.
Oh,
it's his. That's where he's
the
from.
Purdue logo.
But it looks like Purdue, though, right?
Yeah, it's always funny when high school teams just jack a logo from somebody else.
Hey, here's the reason why you need to watch the show now. Listen. Hey, Nick, you got a little P on your jacket.
No.
Oh.
No, I'm not having that.
No.
Okay.
No, that's not that one. No, damn. That one.
Damn, dog. That's
not your best
Not even
work.
inappropriate. Just not.
Okay.
Just not that.
But credit to Nicky Soup and Salad. But he's done a lot of work behind the scenes this last week, getting the feed up.
Yeah.
Also working on a Teespring merch that you guys will be seeing pretty soon. He's doing a lot.
Yeah, we got
of work
links
out there for us.
in the last episode, which I posted back. I was the one that posted to the feed. First time I've had control of that since we went back to the Best Soccer Show name. I threw in a couple of links. The link to the Patreon, where you can support us for a couple bucks a month, get bonus content, gets all this stuff over there. Also, the link to the Teespring. I went ahead and threw it in there because Nicholas Soup and Sausage has already done the work. And there may be some future designs. I've seen big faces of Jay Rodius. That's one thing that might be out there.
I get veto power on this, by the way.
You might. You
Right.
might
We'll put
get
a link
veto
in the
power, 'cause
description.
I would like to have veto power if my face ends
I
on
like
anything
the
too. So
animated one more than the other one. The animated one I liked more.
You can't do an animated on a T-shirt.
No, the one you guys showed, like the one. No, not animated. Like it was like looked like more like a drawing than.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Of you?
I see.
Yeah, the one you put
Yeah.
out, like it was. Yeah, I like that one more. We can look like
You
an anime character.
So we
The
can use
one that
that
was like, twisted. Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Okay, I'm not.
Oh,
Gonna
okay.
put
It
on
was
the show in
intense.
front of witnesses.
It's intense. It might scare children. That's all I'm worried about. It
That's
might
my
scare
goal.
children. Yeah. You can. So again, support us on Patreon and all those things.
Yeah, if you want to keep the show going, help us out. Throw a couple dollars our way, and we'll have a few new revised tiers in the next week or so here that you can see how you can best support the show. But
So-
merch is a good way to do it as well.
Yeah, over at the Besties Slack, which you also get access to when you support us on Patreon, there was a discussion about players moving and these kind of things and who might be in the player pool. And it's been, how long has it been, Jared? How long has it
Quite some
been
time.
since we played Marco
Pre-World
Polo
Cup, that's
on
for
this
sure.
show?
It must be last summer.
I can't even remember.
Last summer was last time we went in the pool.
All right, so this is
Marco.
this is old school best soccer show
Marco.
right here. Marco Polo with the U.S. men's national team player pool.
Now,
And
how deep are we saying this pool is right now? How deep are we talking? Are we talking
I was thinking
23?
about,
or what are we
I was
talking?
thinking about that today. You have a Nations League team that should be the A squad as of that moment, right? Because
So we're doing a shadow squad pool as well?
are
Are we doing main pool or shadow squad pool?
I hadn't thought of Shadow Squad, to be honest with you. I was not in that sense because we conceived Shadow Squad as a replacement if everybody got COVID or you couldn't get into
All right,
Qatar or
so
whatever
we're doing a
it was.
Nations League pool and we're doing a Gold Cup pool. So
I think
we'll say
that's
players and we'll say
basically
one
what
or the
it
other.
is. I think that's basically what it is
Okay.
Nations League pool.
I think we got to go
And
kind
Gold
of
Cup.
fast. There's a lot of players to get through, So let's,
Okay.
you got a most recent kind of list for us to go through.
I can pull something up real quick if you want to vamp for just a minute.
I mean, we can
So-
also go do a couple off the top without even having to look it up.
Well, no,
So,
sure, we could do that, but it's more
I mean,
fun if I
there's a
have
lot
the
of people
names in
just
front of you.
automatically. Let's just get a few names just out of the way right now that we won't even have to talk about.
I mean, we don't need to talk about the core, right? Even Weston McKennie.
Matt Turner's
who's,
going to be. Yeah, we don't talk about Matt Turner. We
yeah.
don't need to talk about Tyler Adams if he's healthy. We
Yeah.
don't need to talk about Tim Ream. We don't need to talk
No.
about Tim
No,
Weah,
yeah, definitely.
Christian
No.
Pulisic.
No.
I think everyone we just mentioned
Right.
is in the main pool.
Injury status notwithstanding, and I don't think any of those guys you just mentioned are injured, but injury status not well, Tyler Adams is. Tyler Adams. But if healthy, that's what we're talking about. So I'm look, okay, let me go through the friendly roster against Mexico. And you tell me if you think they're in the pool right now. Again, this is Nations League and Gold Cup. And you want to win the Gold Cup, but it's obviously not going to be the A squad based on what we talked about.
We'll call it the big pool and the kiddie pool.
Okay, so Sean Johnson, we're sure he's in the pool, right?
I think he's in the kiddie pool.
You think he's in the kiddie
Because I
pool?
think there's Turner, there's Stefan, and there's
and Horvath.
Horvath. I think that's
Right.
that's the big pool. I think Sean Johnson's potential starter on the kiddie pool.
Okay, we know Serginho Dest is even with his issues, and it looks like
Big
he might be
pool.
going to Germany to Union Berlin in the summer. Walker Zimmerman in the pool.
I think big pool.
Okay, big pool for him. Matt Miazga.
I think it's going to be a kiddie pool because
Kiddie pool
I'm
guy.
assuming Chris Richards starting over the weekend. I think they're going to want to get a look at him. I would put Chris Richards probably ahead of Matt Miazga in this, but I think that line is being drawn somewhere right around there. I think you're probably going to take 3 center
does
backs,
that-
maybe 4 center backs to Nations League.
Okay, so let's just do this as a group then. So we know you already mentioned Tim Ream. Until he decides to
pool.
stop playing soccer, he's going to be in the pool. We believe that Miles Robinson is back in the pool. I'll throw that name out there, Jared. Back in the pool.
I don't.
Main
that's
pool,
a,
kiddie
that's
pool,
a question
pool,
mark.
pool?
I would put him kiddie pool. I think. Man, that's a tough one. He's on the lounge chair between the two pools. I'm not sure which one he's in. Let's go back to him. Let's talk about the other options, and we'll come back to him because
Okay, well,
I think
because-
Chris
because
Richards in the big pool.
That
Matt
gets me to
Miazga-
Walker.
Sorry,
That gets me to Walker. That gets me to Chris Richards. That gets me to Matt Miazga. And Miazga's form is improved. He still had an attitude about his
big pool
national
for
team
me.
situation.
Tim Ream, Walker Zimmerman, Chris Richards, and one. And the one is the one I got to figure out. Like, where is the one?
Okay.
It's not Aaron.
Hold on. Is it Cameron Vegas?
I would take Cameron Carter Vickers. I think I would. I think I would take
Okay.
Cameron Carter Vickers, even
Because-
though despite the.
Mark McKenzie's playing well in Belgium. Just scored. Not that matters for a center back, but just scored a goal in an important game. I think Eric Palmer-Brown's going down with Troy. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I don't think his level is high enough.
Second most appearances in Europe for an American this year.
I did not see that. They're a bad team, though.
Yeah,
they're a bad team, so he's playing for a bad team.
That's a ton of experience. That's a ton of experience.
My man Solomon wants to bring up John Brooks, and with GGG out.
I'm not mad with him. I'm not mad, but he's got to work his way back in, dude. Like, obviously, we still don't know what all happened there.
Well, he's playing for Hoffenheim. Right, it could be a Berhalter. He's playing for Hoffenheim, right? He's playing. I mean, it's Hoffenheim, right? Are they in trouble? I can't remember where they are right now.
I think they've gotten up.
Because that's where Pellegrino is now, right? He's at Hoffenheim. Yeah. So yeah. So okay. Yeah.
So I think for me the 4 would be Ream, Zimmerman, Chris Richards, and
you said Kamakaviz.
Because I think in Chris Richards you have that dynamic, pacey player that Miles Robinson would be compared to that can also play on the left side if necessary. Okay. So I think Miles Robinson maybe needs to work his way back.
All right. Well, then you're talking about and who knows if John Brooks would accept a Gold Cup roster with the B squad? Do not know. Okay. He could decide I've had enough of this shit. I'm over it all. I don't care if there's a new coach, a new regime. I'm out. That's possible. But if he was going to accept a call up, are you looking at Brooks, Miazga, who else am I missing here? McKenzie, and one more?
Yeah, plus one. I mean, I'm not sure who would be the best one to go in
for the
there.
Gold Cup. For the Gold Cup.
I mean, Eric Palmer-Brown.
Jalen Neal. Is he there?
I almost said Jalen Neal, but it's hard on a team that's that bad to say, but he's having an outstanding year.
Here's the thing about Jalen Neal. Eligible for the U20 World Cup, probably not going to the U20 World Cup because LA Galaxy are going to be like, nah, you can't have our guy right now. We kind of need him.
MLS teams don't have an option when it comes to Gold Cup, right? They have to release, right?
I don't believe
it's not.
That's on the FIFA calendar. Yes, that would be true. Yes, he would be released for the Gold Cup if they decided to call him for that.
Listen, I don't know if this is his summer, but Jalen Neal is on the up. He is legit.
Okay. All right. So let me go back just to make sure I'm not missing any center backs who have had a recent. I mean, Aaron Long. You're saying Aaron Long's out of the pool?
Out
of the pool?
Out, dude. Just
get him a towel. Get him a towel. Get him out of here. He's got to shower. Get a shower before you hit the. Do you shower before you get in the pool? You got to shower before you get in the pool. Then you shower after.
Does anyone do that though?
You don't shower? You pee in your pool, don't you? You pee in your pool.
I don't pee in my pool. I have a backyard for that. I have a yard. Any plant will do.
You jump out of your pool soaking wet and go pee in the corner and then jump back in the pool?
I have something called a pee corner in my house.
Shake?
Not in my house, out in the yard, not in my house, but like
there's a plant.
Everybody knows. All the boys and men that come to my house know that that's the pee corner. You go behind the banana plant and you pee back there.
This is our man Nicholas Murray. He's a USL homer, and I respect it. But Josh Winder, it's too early. It's too early.
I think it's too early.
He's a U20 player. He's not.
I think he's right there with Jalen Neal. We could be talking about two of them by 2026.
Okay, all right. So that's center backs and goalkeepers, and we're barely there. So let's move on to the fullbacks quickly. We already put Serginho Dest. He's in the big pool, right? He's in the big kid pool. Yeah. All right. That means we're talking about
Andy Robinson, obviously up there.
Anthony Robinson, absolutely in the big pool, of course.
I think the conversation is like someone like Brian Reynolds. I think the conversation is around DJ Jazzy Jones. I think obviously he's kiddie pool, but I think he gets called in for the Gold Cup.
Does he? Okay. All right. I mean, I hope so. Not? I hope he gets a look. Okay. All right. Well, what about John Tolkien? He's a U20 eligible player too, right?
Absolutely.
In the kiddie pool.
If he's not
in the kiddie pool.
Kiddie pool.
Kiddie pool.
Now, that being said, is there a true another left back that you would take behind Andy Robinson? No, it's Serginho Dest, and it's Scally.
It's Joe Scally, I guess.
That's just the way it is right now. And here's
Joe Scally does not excite me. He does not get me going.
He
does not rev my engine.
Defense.
I guess that's true. I guess, and if he's a backup
Steve
player,
Cherundolo ever excite you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, he made you feel warm at night. He's the big spoon. He's the big spoon that makes you feel warm at night.
Big spoon. All right. Who else is in that kiddie pool then? So Tolkien is a left back. Dwan Jones is a left back.
Yeah, I think maybe Jonathan Gonzalez is potentially.
I don't. Jonathan Gomez is who you're talking about, and I don't think. I don't know. Is he? Maybe he is. Maybe he's in the kiddie pool. And
then I think potentially Yedlin for Gold Cup.
Yedlin for Gold Cup, not in the big pool
Maybe even
anymore.
the captain of the team in the Gold Cup. I mean,
Caleb Wiley. No, Caleb Wiley was in that.
I don't think not quite yet.
Friendly.
Man, I don't know.
No. Okay. Sam Vines. Oh, he just came back from injury. Just came back from injury.
Could be, but I think Yedlin could end up being the captain of that Gold Cup team.
I don't think George Bellows got it right now. We can leave him out. Am I missing? Who else am I missing? Is the chat
let's go
saying
to
anybody?
Midfield. We're good. Let's go to midfield.
Okay. All right. Let's go to midfield.
People already in. The MMA's in. Delatore's in.
Delatorre's
Brendan
still
Harrison's
yes.
in. Gio Reyna's in. Everyone that could potentially play midfield right there is in.
Okay.
Kellen
Is Kellen Acosta in the is he in there? Is he?
I think if Luca Delatorre, Mark McKenzie, and Tyler Adams are all good and McKennie's good, I don't think you necessarily bring him. If Tyler Adams cannot play by then,
Man, so much. So here's also our trap, right? And again, we don't expect anything to really unspool until probably after the Gold Cup, I guess. I mean, I don't think they're going to rush, right? But we're predicating all of this on the idea that they're going to play basically Berhalter's system with Hudson in charge.
Yep.
Now, I think based on what we saw against Mexico, nobody's really enthused about who he's going to pick to play in some of these games. And you got Mexico in a semifinal in the Nations League, which presumably they'll bring a very tough squad. But this is all predicated on that, right? So we're still boxing ourselves in to that 4-3-3, 3 central midfielders, 1 holder, 2 advanced box-to-box number 10 type, number 8-10 types, and then the wide forwards. We're still boxing ourselves in on
I would
that,
love
right?
to see the Gold Cup roster experiment outside Berhalter's system because you're going to have new players, younger players, like we just saw here, Kai718 put it in the chat. You got Timmy Till. You know, you got
Timmy Till?
Yeah, you can bring Timmy
Wow.
Tillman in,
I didn't
and you
know that
can
was his
bring
name.
Malik Tillman in. I think Malik Tillman we can have a conversation about Nations League.
Sounds like a rapper from the 80s.
Timmy Till.
MC Till. Something like that.
But I think you have
MC
an option
Tilly
of
Till.
doing something a little bit different with that Gold Cup roster and experimenting a little bit. Again, when it comes to Kellen
But when
Acosta,
when you say experimenting, you mean Timothy Tillman, Malik Tillman, his brother,
Yeah.
obviously, right?
I think Malik Tillman has the potential to maybe make.
Who
the
else
Nations
is in
League.
that?
When we get up there, we'll see.
Who else is in the midfield experimental group? Because I don't. Aiden Morris, he's in the midfield.
I think
he's
Paxton
in that group,
Aronson
right?
is in that. I think Aiden
Paxton
Morris
Aronson.
is in that.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
And I also think Paxton Pomykal is in that mix.
Okay.
I think there's an interesting line here. Is like, where does Sonora fall? And I think Sonora falls into that
Sonora.
kiddie pool. And like I said, I'm huge on Sonora. I think that I love his playing style. When we were talking earlier about that ability to take a beat off the ball.
We could do this. We could just have like brother duos in our team.
Hell
We could
yeah.
just have 3 brother duos filling up
You're
the
gonna let
roster.
Brendan Aronson go down to the Gold Cup?
Play them all together because we want double Aronsons on the field. Just because I think there were some brothers playing in the Gold Cup the Open Cup last night. Because I remember at least one, I think USL team threw out maybe I'm wrong about that, but I saw some brothers. I just want brothers on the field. That just sounds cool. Why aren't we doing that? Why isn't that a thing? Anyway,
Bash
go ahead.
Brothers? I don't know.
Go ahead.
So I think there's an opportunity to do something interesting with the midfielder. Like I said, I'd like to see Sonora come down to the Gold Cup, mainly because not that he couldn't produce and play a role from the bench with the Nations League. I would rather see him get more minutes. I want to see what this dude can do with more minutes, and I would like to see someone like a Tim Tillman around him, maybe a Aiden Morris around him.
Well, you already put Kellen Acosta in the Gold Cup. He's going to be in the. If he's not in the
it
Nations
depends on
League
Tyler
team.
Adams. It depends on Tyler Adams.
Okay, he's not going to play in the. I don't think Tyler's going to be back from the Nations League, so you're going to get Kellen Acosta in that group, which means he won't be in the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
I would presume that to be the case.
So then you would have like an Aiden Morris or something like that. I mean, Aiden Morris can play defensively.
I like
but he's more of a
Aiden
box-to-box.
Morris a lot. No, I think he's a pretty classic 6 who's been given license to get forward under Wilfred Nancy, which I
So
like.
Aiden
I like.
Morris, Sonora, who would be your the third midfielder? Is there Tillman?
Yeah, you could throw in Timothy Tillman. You could throw him in there. I'll take him.
I
I'll
say
take
that
him
or
as
Paxton Pomykal. I think either one. Of those would be
Pomykal's a good shout. Eric Williamson went down with an injury, so it's no go on him. Christian Roldan has not come up.
I don't think he should.
You don't think he should be in either one of these pools?
I mean, if you want a veteran experience, maybe yes, sure. If you want someone that's gonna, if you have a really young Gold Cup team, just like DeAndre Yedlin, I think we're kidding ourselves if we think Yedlin or Roldan are going to feature in the 2026 World Cup.
No, they're not. They're not.
But they have
I
a
don't
role
think
they can play in the meantime.
I don't think there's going to be a coach, whether it's Hudson or the next guy, who's not going to want some continuity, who's not going to think those are my guys, locker room guys, leadership guys, culture connector type guys. I think that's the case. And look, you can just say on talent they shouldn't be there. and that's fine. But I don't think that's reality.
I think Paxton Aronson should play in one of these. I mean, he's U20 eligible as well, so he may be doing U20.
He is,
so
but I don't know based on what Eintracht Frankfurt's doing with him right now. He may not get a release. For the U20 World
If he doesn't,
Cup.
I think it'd be interesting to get him in some minutes.
They may want to keep him there in Frankfurt to keep training, getting ready for next year.
Next year has the potential to be his breakout year at Eintracht Frankfurt. I think getting more minutes in the summer would help him for that preseason. So I'd like to see him get those minutes if he doesn't go with U20.
See, this is why I said what I said, because I knew Nicholas Murray would hook me up. The Olaski brothers, Milan and Brian, were playing for Orange County against Portland. That's who I saw. The Olaski brothers down there in SoCal.
Are there Wolf brothers too?
There are. I think there are Wolf brothers. KY718. Richie Ledesma is on the cusp. Started off well for NYCFC. He needs to get a longer run of consistent minutes.
He might need an offseason to heal. To be honest with you, it might be better just to give him time away from the game.
All right, so let's do the forwards again. Nations League is going to be your big guns. Who are those big guns right now? Pulisic is healthy. Reyna's healthy if he plays in that position. We know. So Zendejas, where's Zendejas? I'm very curious about him.
Big pool.
Okay. Who else?
Pool. Maybe starting in the big pool. I mean,
who else is in that?
Did you say Weah?
I did not. Weah's obviously in the big, but he's a wing back now.
Listen, I don't think with the national team he is. I don't think with the national team he is.
Even Marseille's like, we need a wing back. Who's a good wing back? Oh, Tim Weah's a good wing back. Let's go get Tim Weah in the offseason in the summer.
I think Pepe's in the big pool.
Is Pepe in the big pool right now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is there another striker that is ahead of him?
No. Probably
I think potentially Sargent's in the big pool only because once again with Daryl Dike going down, it's a pretty far drop. You could say I would like to see Haji Wright get in with the kid pool and the Gold Cup and get some minutes with the national team and actually have a chance to get a
run through that again. You want to run through that again? Okay,
he's 23 years old or something.
I know,
dude.
I think
he scored 14 goals in Turkey. I mean, come on, yes.
Okay.
Just because he had a couple games where he didn't feature well doesn't mean he's just done. Look at Tim Ream. Do you remember the time when you and I were saying Tim Ream is done with the national team?
Sure,
at the beginning of qualifying?
Absolutely.
Come on,
don't give him up. Don't give up on him too early. Yeah, don't give up on him too early. I mean, again, the specter that hangs over all of this, at least for the Nations League team, and anytime you might call up an A squad, is Fowler and Balogun.
Sala Martinez says
if Balogun falls. If Balogun falls to the United States, go ahead.
Is PFOC even in either of these pools?
No, get the PFOC out of here. I don't want PFOC. No.
Okay.
PFOC's,
so
PFOC was always
if Balogun
one-dimensional.
is in, he's obviously in Nations League. Who drops?
100%.
Who drops?
You're taking Balogun, Pepe, and I think you're taking probably Sargent.
Okay.
I would say that. And then obviously the drop from there is down to Haji Wright, down to Jesus Ferreira. I know he got a lot of heat off of the Mexico game, even though he scored.
The Gold Cup pool ends up being a fun discussion then, because you just said Wright, Ferreira, we have Vasquez.
He's not there for the main squad, but he needs to pick it up a little bit. Can we? By the way, Nick, can we get it going here? Brandon, can we do something, please? Okay,
they just got rid of Brenner. Who's going to give him the ball?
Well, Brenner's leaving the summer, but Brenner might not be all there, if you know what I'm saying. So there's that. Yeah, for sure. Lucho Acosta is supposed to be. He's the guy supposed to make it all happen. Lucho Acosta is the guy. So go ahead.
In Brandon Vasquez, you have a guy that I'd like to see some more minutes, but I think on that Gold Cup team, you probably end up seeing Ferreira getting a lot of those minutes.
I don't hate him as much as some people hate him.
The problem is, how the hell do you use him?
I'm over it. Well, then
he
don't.
He isn't the best
right?
at any
don't.
position. He's not the best at any position. And
that's
the same thing we said about Josh Sargent for 2 years. He's not the best at any position or any one thing.
But Josh Sargent does way more. Okay, again, boxed in on a 4-3-3 and a center forward, playing between two wide forwards in front of a three-man central midfield. Josh Sargent does way more things that I need from that guy in that position than Jesus Ferreira does, because dropping him off the line or playing him in the hole or whatever they're trying to do has not worked. Right? It just hasn't worked. And maybe that's not Jesus' fault. But he's not. If he doesn't fit as a 10, which didn't work against Mexico, and he doesn't fit as a 9 because he doesn't play as a 9, then he doesn't play. That's it. So that's the end of it.
We brought this name up a couple times already. What is Malik Tillman's position with the U.S. national team?
Malik Tillman is probably in one of those midfield roles. He's another Yunus Musa with more attacking flair.
Is there room in the top pool for him right now?
I don't think he's not as physically gifted as Yunus, and he's not going to track back as well.
He's good as a late arriving runner in the box. He's very good to be at that. Does he have a position in the main pool? He's good enough for it, but
Malik
is there room?
Tillman, right now. Malik Tillman. How many midfielders are we taking? Because I don't
We
think
said
so.
Eunice, McKinney, Della Torre,
Adams if he's healthy.
Acosta if he's not. So either way, that's 4.
Yeah.
Brendan Aronson, Gio Reyna.
Gio Reyna could drop in. Brendan Aronson can drop in. Those were both big
Is it
pool
better
guys.
to put Malik Tillman in the Gold Cup squad and get more minutes? Like for a lot of these guys,
sure.
they're good enough for that top.
Sure.
But do you want him on the bench or
Absolutely.
do you want to get him minutes?
I want the. That's a good
I want
question.
Tillman where he's going to get minutes at the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. He needs a little bit more seasoning to graduate fully. And again, there's a question of who he pushes out. Because what you have in Adams, you can't replicate, but you try to get as close to it as you can with maybe Acosta or maybe Luca Della Torre, right? And that's not who Malik Tillman is. You have Yunus Musa, you have Weston McKennie, and maybe they're not unmovable. I don't know that McKennie's unmovable necessarily if Malik Tillman is burning it up.
I'm gonna piss off some people right here with this. Is
Are you?
Gio Reyna a big pool guy right this summer?
Yeah, talent-wise, he has to be.
Then is it better to put him in the Gold Cup and get him more minutes? Is he going to get enough minutes at the Nations League that we're not going to be back in this position of like?
I really wonder if Gio Reyna would want to be called for the Gold Cup. I mean, I think it's a fair question to ask.
Fair.
If he would even accept
But
that,
how
and
do
we might not.
We know his
hear
potential
about it.
talent is worthy of potentially even starting in Nations
Yeah,
League.
sure,
But he's not
Absolutely.
playing.
No,
He's not playing.
He's not playing. Right.
And neither
That's
is
really
Pulisic.
what it's about. That's true. I think that you know more about Pulisic based on what he's done already than you know about Reyna, and that's the difference, right? But do you believe? Okay, first of all, there's this, which is certainly possible. Balogun will be playing for the U21s for England during the Euro finals this summer. Very possible. If he does that, all right, that ship has sailed. We say thank you. I mean, he wouldn't be cap tied as a senior player, and I guess you could still leave it open. But maybe we say goodbye to that idea. And then KY saying he'd take Tillman over Zendejas, Aronson, Roldan, and Areola. First of all, we did not mention Areola at all. And Areola's not in the picture. I'm not putting him in. I mean, again, 28-year-old player, maybe is a Gold Cup guy if you don't want to go completely experimental or young. Roldan, as we said, probably not in either one of these pools for us. Aronson has to be. I know. Look, I know it's been rough
When Paul
at Leeds
Areola
at time.
has bad footing in a game. Can we call it a nip slip?
Yeah, probably. I guess I'll give you that one.
You laughed.
Jay Rodius.
It's not bad. Okay. It's not bad. Nick is shaking his head at you. I'm the one over here backing you up with the laugh. He's shaking your head at you, man.
Whatever.
You've offended his middle of the
Still
country
got pee on your
sensibilities. Are we done? We do the whole thing? I mean,
we
I don't
didn't
know
do
how.
the wide forwards, just so you know.
We didn't. Oh, so Pulisic.
Pulisic, and we've already said Aronson, Reyna, Weah. We have
And
those
Zendejas. You threw Zendejas in there.
So that falls like who falls down to the bottom then? Is Areola in the Gold Cup?
Is Morris in the Gold Cup?
Is Morris in the Nations League? Is the
Do you
question.
feel? Well, I doubt it. I
think once again, veteran presence. Let him go to the Gold Cup. Lead that team. See what he can do. Potentially even as a 9.
No, yeah, really, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that
over Ferreira.
Yeah, over Ferreira, but you said Nations
over
League.
Vasquez though. Oh, no, I meant Gold Cup. I'm sorry.
Okay. If Morris goes to the Gold Cup, will he see some time at the number 9 position? I still don't think you would do that. I think you have
Vasquez
Vasquez
is still a better option there.
And then you would. He would. Whoever
Kate
it is.
Cal,
and again,
in the pool, in the kiddie pool, or not in the kiddie pool.
No. I mean, okay. Has he done enough with San Jose? Because he's such a young player, his track record is still pretty thin. Has he done enough with San Jose where you go, okay, yeah, let's bring him to the Gold Cup and give him some run?
By the way,
I don't know.
I'm sorry to go backwards, but we left a pretty big name out of the center back conversation earlier.
Who's that?
Austin Trusty.
Oh, I don't know if we call him a big name because he's still sort of off the radar.
Enough to warrant. He's cussed between the two.
He deserves some consideration, but that's the thing. It's been
at a minimum for sure Gold Cup.
It's been an awkward thing because he hasn't been able, because of the time of the World Cup and because of the change of coaches and the timing of the camps.
I would rather him have I would rather see Austin Trusty get significant minutes at the Gold Cup than be on the bench for the Nations League.
And what do you think about Kevin Paredes as well? Maybe.
Yeah, I think for the Gold Cup. Yeah,
we talked about fullbacks, and we like, the thing is, like, are you going to take three? Hold on, are you going to take 3 20, 21-year-old fullbacks to the Gold Cup? Again, the U20 World Cup is happening this summer. I don't remember if Paredes is eligible or not. I can't. John Tolkien. DeJuan Jones is not a young player, so maybe that's a guy that goes to the Gold Cup over some guys who don't. But again, how young do you get? How experimental do you get? This is the point about European players not wanting to miss the preseason because of the Gold Cup, the timing of it. I mean, that's the Gold Cup. Nations League is beginning of July. Gold Cup starts June, and the Gold Cup starts 2 weeks after the end of the Nations League. So that's basically beginning of July. Yeah. Right. And then that's obviously when preseason gets underway for European teams. We talked about John Brooks and would he accept a Gold Cup call up? He might not if Hoffenheim's like, don't go. These are complicated situations. That's why the pool is so mucky and yucky.
Last question before we get out of
here.
here.
Clean your pool, Jared. You get one of those
Jason
robots?
Davis.
Get a robot? Clean your pool?
Not a robot, but I got like a sweep. My question for you, Jason Davis.
Yeah.
After getting a feel for Joe Cocker this week, true or false?
Yeah.
We will have a coach before the end of the Gold Cup. The second tournament.
Before the end of the Gold Cup.
Announced.
Jesus.
Not necessarily with the team. Announced.
Yeah.
Because if they haven't hired someone by the beginning of Nations League, they're not going to have the guy take over in the middle of a tournament or anything like that.
No.
But announced, picked out, announced before the end of the Gold Cup.
I want to say yes, but it's really just blind optimism more than anything else.
I don't think he takes his job without already having an idea of what he's going to do.
Well, I think he probably has a list, and I think he probably knows at least what direction he wants to go in.
So we're talking about
but I talked about him being pragmatic
right now. About 6 weeks that he can get it done, and 6 weeks before the start of the Nations League. We're talking about 10 weeks or so. I think we potentially could have an announcement before the end of Gold Cup.
All right. Well, I hope from your lips to the soccer god's ears. I know. Can you do the single prayer hand for me? Single prayer hand. Single prayer hand. All right. I wanted to throw this in here. Nicholas Soup and Sausage has done some work, as we said, getting some behind-the-scenes stuff going. We were talking about this in the Slack. Way back, I don't even know what year this was, Jared. Way back in the day, we had a T-shirt that came out of a bit we did called Baller or Blazer. You remember this bit?
Oh, I created the bit.
Do you remember this bit? Okay. Of course you remember this bit. This might be our most famous bit of all time, to be honest with you. And the whole concept was I would tell you something that either a baller, meaning a rapper generally, or Chuck Blazer had done with their money, spent something dumb.
Fun fact.
And then you had to guess, was it a baller or was it a Blazer? Mm-hmm. And then this shirt came out of that. This is the original. This is a shot of the shirt I have. I think it's got one small hole in it. I'm going to let it,
for the podcast
wear it until
listeners, check
falls
out the
apart.
YouTube feed for this.
Yeah, you got to watch the YouTube feed. Maybe I'll put the image in the show notes or link to it or something.
Roughly 1 hour 6 minutes.
It's What are you saying? Go to the
because
YouTube.
If you've already listened to the podcast, you want to cut right to what you need to see.
That's a good point. So this is Chuck Blazer, a stylized version of Chuck Blazer, full Santa Claus beard, brown hair. Did he have brown hair at the time that we did this? He must have.
There's some salt and pepper in there. You can tell. There's some salt and pepper in there.
Some shades with some pink lenses. He's wearing a grill. Some sort of
a grill.
He's got a grill. Grill. He's holding his fists up towards the camera, if you want to call it a camera. It's because this is a drawing. And it says CONCACAF across his knuckles.
Tattooed across
his knuckles, which is still genius. I think we need to credit Trevor for this, right? He's the one that created this.
We had the idea. I remember I had the idea with Trevor. I shopped this idea with Trevor about what it would look like, and he got it made, though.
Yeah.
That was a product of the two of us.
Yeah, so Nicholas Soup and Sausage was working on a revised version for the modern day. Somebody asked in the Slack if we could bring this back. This is what we've got right now. Work in progress?
I think that might be a trademark Disney parrot.
I think we might get
I think my man may have
cease and
stole
desist.
that from Rio or something.
We might have something in common with Ron DeSantis if we put that shirt out, right? We might get some Disney lawyers hitting us up. Is that
so?
Nicholas
tell us,
Soup and
guys, should I
Sausage?
bring the old one back, or do you want the new one? If you were to buy one with a shirt, which one would you get?
I want Nick to come on here. Nick, is that a Disney parrot? Is that a Disney parrot?
It's just a clip art parrot.
Parrot. Okay.
That's legal then, huh?
Maybe. Do you have to pay anything for that image? Because the image is on the internet.
I think it should be more like a Chuck Blazer in a room of It's almost like the old like highlights, like the images are hidden within images, but it's like a room with just a ton of crap, and it's like money on the ground. It's it's segways, multiple segways,
scooters.
It's cats and birds, and like
Yes.
it's all this stuff in
Yes.
the room. He's like a hoarder.
Yes, absolutely. Star Wars costumes.
And somewhere in there is what's the dude that used to be Trinidad and Tobago? Was the other guy?
Jack Warner.
Yeah, his
Warner.
face, his voice is like coming out from some of the trash. Like
You could also do Chuck Blazer and Jack Warner as sort of Caribbean pirates, from the golden age of piracy, because they kind of have that vibe. They were those guys.
It's true.
Right.
pick your poison. That's a pick your poison right there.
Oh, what is between
How
those
about
two guys?
a pick your poison shirt and it's mugshots of the two guys.
One of them is no longer with us, R.I.P. Chuck Blazer. The other one is running from the law. I actually don't know what's going on. Jack has been like scurrying ahead of the law for like 10 years at this point. Like they're still trying to track him down. He's somewhere.
How's that happen?
Man, it's CONCACAF Vice. Oh, Nicholas Murray has figured it out. He's cracked the code. It's CONCACAF Vice, Jared. Since that Chuck Blazer look does have some Miami Vice vibes to it. Yeah.
Well,
Thanks to
let's just say, keep an eye on the Teespring merch site. You might see some things.
Yeah, do that. All right. Any other business? Nick, did you want to chime in? You had anything to say?
No, I'm good. I'm sorry I got here late tonight. Was dealing. We had some softball tonight. Wanted to watch my daughter play, so I appreciate you getting the show started for me. And yeah, I'm glad to be back.
All right.
Getting paid
There's
for this shit.
Nikki Soup and Sausage. What'd you say?
He ain't getting paid
Jared?
for this shit.
Ain't getting paid for this shit? Is that what you said? All right.
Yep.
All right. All right. So we've got to wrap this thing up. I'm not sure what else we have to offer the people today, but certainly check out the Patreon at patreon.com/thebestsoccershow for extra stuff. I'm probably due to drop a couple old dad FCs, some updates on some things. I might be sharing some stuff from behind the scenes. We'll see how that goes with the new project. Jared, are you aware of anything else that we should tell the people?
No, like I said, we've been talking for a while. Subscribe to the YouTube show. If you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button. If you want to hit that bell as well, that would let you know when we go live for the show.
Yeah.
We still feel that the YouTube version is the best version of the show, but obviously we will keep having those podcast feeds. I'm just so stoked that we got the feedback and that we have control over it. And
Jared threatened to quit if we didn't get the podcast feedback. He's like, I'm out. I'm over this.
I really was like, if we don't have that, I'm not starting over again. I was like, I ain't starting over again. Sorry.
Yeah, we still got that feed. If you know of people who either gave up on us or didn't even know we were back, I still see people say stuff like, I didn't know the Best Soccer Show was back.
You know what? If you buy a shirt and wear it to a game, guess what? You're our billboard.
That's exactly right. And it is the original. I mean, it looks very similar to the original OG logo. So there you go. All right. That's it. I guess we'll talk to you guys next week. Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. YouTube. Give us a review. I think we're due some. I was just checking that out. Since we're back on the feed, we got the iTunes, Apple Podcast. Write a review. Reference the little P that's on Nikki's List Soup and Sausages jacket. Do that. We'll talk to you guys next week. It's gold. Yeah, it's
colored.
Golden showers, man. It's the only way to go.
Water, dude.
Get out of here. Gotta go. Bye, guys.
Duh and or hello.
Damn, dog, that's an approach.
Can I get a manager? Can I please get a manager?
Marco. Get to the chopper! Marco.
Is that JTT?
OMFPG-13, it's JTT!
Who? The Sausage King of Chicago.
It was there.
Oh, here we go, saucing them up. Hit him, wet.
Jay Rodius.